Summer is coming to an end in Antarctica. The crew of the academic Fyodorov is waiting for the Молодежная research station to pack up for winter. Everything has to be done quickly. If the wind gets any stronger, the helicopter won't be able to take off, and there's no other way of getting people onto the ship from the station. They need to hurry. Winter begins tomorrow. Молодежная used to be the Soviet Union's biggest Antarctic research station. Now it only works during the summer. In the southern hemisphere, summer starts in December and ends in March. It's now April, so seasonal operations are over. Geological samples gathered during the summer are loaded into containers. All water is drained from the station and windows are boarded up and filled in with insulation foam. If the snow is given even the slightest chance to sneak in, it will be impossible to dig it out. The diesel generator is the last to be shut down. No one can survive here without heat. The operation takes just a few hours to complete. Now the station is ready for winter. The helicopter will fly people to the academic Fyodorov.
Arnold, they said they wouldn't take us.
They will. They've got no choice.
They told us you'd come. You're here and fortune smiles on us again. Everything's gonna be fine.
I'll be 85 in April. Now I only travel to my dacha. My dacha. And to Antarctica. Actually, I've done 26 expeditions. I've spent 10 winters in Antarctica. I opened the Leningradskaya station, for example, and many others. And I restored the Vostok station as well. I have a recorder with me. They made me bring a voice recorder and they've told me to record. But no, I haven't started yet.
The academic Fyodorov's horn signals the start of winter. The ship's departure means that for the whole year, no one will be able to travel here, just as no one is able to leave.
If you have any doubts about how you will cope in Antarctica, you'd better say so now.
Russia's expeditions to Antarctica set off from Cape Town, South Africa. While the ship stays in port for a few days, the team members enjoy some time off. Many of them want to take a tour to the Cape of Good Hope. Unfortunately, there's not enough space on the bus, so the polar explorers decide to draw lots to determine who gets to go. In the Soviet era, to get to Antarctica, it wasn't enough to just be lucky. You needed relevant experience with drift ice in the Arctic as well as recommendations. There was no other way to reach the southernmost continent. Today, it's enough to send your resume to the Arctic and Antarctic Research Institute, along with a clean bill of health.
Many people believe that once they've been to Antarctica, so to speak, they turn into polar explorers. Basically, I don't share that view. I think a polar explorer is somebody who's worked in both Antarctica and the Arctic zones. Only if he's done that can you call him a real polar explorer.
Alexei and Artyom met just 2 days ago. Both are newcomers and both are heading to Antarctica for the first time. They're going to spend the whole winter together at the Novolazarovskaya station.
Oh, he's going to bite me! I was pretty scared 2 days before we were meant to leave. But when you realize it's actually happening, when the date is set and your dream is about to come true, it's tough. What's next? I don't know. We'll see. If I like it, I'll keep doing it. But if not, so be it.
Tomorrow, Alexei and Artyom are going to Antarctica by plane. Theirs will be the final flight of the season. The landing strips can only operate for short periods each year. The weather is too unreliable and the distance is too great. There simply wouldn't be enough fuel. Polar explorers mostly get to Antarctica by ship, just as the early pioneers did. It takes the academic Fyodorov a month and a half to get from St. Petersburg, in the northern hemisphere, to the southernmost point on Earth, almost crossing the whole planet.
Back in 1964, after our Arctic trip, we went to Antarctica. That was the first time I felt so acutely just how far away Antarctica is.
This trip is more fascinating and extensive. It takes at least 6 months to get there. The Arctic region is like a relaxing walk. It only takes about a month.
The ship spends 6 months at sea approaching the shores of Antarctica several times during the season. Now the crew is going through the final and most unpredictable stage.
Antarctica always comes up with surprises. You have to keep your eyes open because there's always something going wrong. If it actually goes well for too long, I start to worry. There's no way Antarctica will let you go on like that without incident.
Detailed navigational and operational plans are in place. But autumn has arrived, and no one can ever know just what to expect from Antarctica. The academic Fyodorov is the only ship for hundreds of miles.
Well, this is the radar. As you can see, there's nothing there. You can't see any other ships, just icebergs. Here you have to look out for yourself. No one to relay messages except us. Any other ships or rescue centers are miles away now.
Calling all Antarctica stations. This is Academic Fyodorov. Radio check. Please respond. Vostok, Progress, Mirny. Novolazarovskaya, please respond.
Novolazarovskaya, reading you level 4.
There are 5 year-round Russian research stations in Antarctica. This time the Fyodorov will visit 2 of them, Progress and Novolazarovskaya. The ship must supply them with everything they might need.
We work as a tanker, a cargo vessel, a passenger ship, and an aircraft carrier.
A whole year of food for the 2 stations is being delivered.
Here we have diced carrot, cabbage, different types of broccoli, and this is meat from Uruguay. And these are frozen pancakes.
It assumes that each polar explorer will eat around 8 kilos of meat in a month and around 4 eggs a week. They have their own way to keep the eggs fresh.
To stop the yolks going off, you have to turn them every 2 weeks. They may get a little dry at the stations because of the low humidity, but they will never go bad.
Bags containing polar clothing are stored in the freezer. When the ship left St. Petersburg 4 months ago, the weather was rainy and damp most of the time. If the bags were to get wet while being loaded, they may rot in a warm hold. To keep them in optimum condition, the clothes are kept on ice until they're needed.
Nikolai, get out of there, you'll freeze!
The standard winter outfit consists of 4 pairs of shoes, thermal underwear, a fleece scarf, and a wind cheater.
Oh, this one is for winter. The other one is a mid-season coat. And this one's for special occasions. The coats are much better this time. Look, they also have a vest. Wait, turn around. But did they listen to what we said? No, they didn't. We wanted the straps to be crossed, otherwise they slip off your back. We write the same comments every single year, but it's not so often that they put things right.
Is it okay? Does it look fine?
Of course it's okay. It's for work, not your wedding. Of course it's a little loose. It's almost twice the size of you. Right now, I spend less time at home than in Antarctica. Of course, my family is waiting for me back home, but I think they get fed up with me after a while. They are used to living without me.
Viktor Vindorovich gave me 1 toilet roll. He said that would be enough till I got home. I said, for a year? And he answered, when I say home, I mean Antarctica.
This will be Johnny and Mark's first winter in Antarctica. Johnny made the decision shortly before his 50th birthday.
I used to be a bureaucrat. Seriously. But at some point I just started feeling that Antarctica was the only thing that was true and real. And it's worth testing yourself here.
For us, the problem is that those people have already been working there for 3 months. Well, how many of us? There's 6 of us. We are joining a foreign collective. In the army, we would be the rookies. It's, of course, not very comfortable. But the people with experience have already got used to it. Newcomers had this odd mix of romanticism and pragmatism. I wanted to change my life. For 20 years, I never moved from my place. Usually, you get fed up with it after a while. As for pragmatism, in our town, it's a considerable sum they've offered me. My wife just giggled for the first 6 months before she realized it was real. My wife's a very quiet person. But for a family life, that's good. Wife. I wondered if they had billiards there.
Attention all hands, the open deck is now out of bounds during the storm.
On the bridge are the captain, the navigation officer, and 2 helmsmen. A crew change is underway.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good shift.
The crew watch is reinforced. You have to be twice as vigilant the closer you get to Antarctica. For navigation purposes, the region is still underexplored, and icebergs can drift for very long distances. These pictures are from 1987. They chronicle the maiden voyage of the academic Fyodorov, the first diesel-electric ice ship to sail to Antarctica.
Our first trip was good. A really good one. I remember we were in the captain's room, all 3 of us having tea. Yes, I remember that clearly. We were having tea, the table was there, I felt a huge bang, and the cup fell off the table, and the tea spilled everywhere. It was a rock that wasn't shown on the chart. Everything was fine in the end, though, and the rock's position was mapped.
Here it is. 4.5 meters. The 1987 obstacle.
12 o'clock. Crew changeover in the engine room. In all, 22 people are involved in here. The crew's quite big, but such a unique voyage demands it. They have only themselves to count on when things go wrong.
During the turbulent 90s, we would leave for Antarctica in March or even April. So we would arrive in the middle of the Antarctic winter. Sailing in winter is indeed an adventure. I'm still amazed that we managed to break through it all. Our red-bellied beauty is a wonderful ship. Together, we got through so many scrapes.
The ship literally went through a trial of fire and ice.
It was about 4 p.m. during the tea break. We had cabbage pies that day. I still remember that. And then it all happened. There was a fire in the engine room. Even now I feel uncomfortable when I hear the sound of a fire alarm. I changed the settings on all our clocks back home because I can't stand the noise of an alarm. All in all, the ship went through thick and thin. It's the best ship in the whole Antarctic. It's impossible for it not to fulfill its task. That's never happened.
It's even written somewhere. The academic Fyodorov was the only ship in the world able to reach the North Pole alone, unaided by an icebreaker.
The ship enters the ice zone overnight. Just 24 hours ago, they saw only occasional icebergs. For Johnny and Mark, the final countdown has begun. It's not far now to the Progress Station, and that's where they'll spend the winter.
Sometimes the Progress Station surprises us too. Once we had an incident there. We were unloading fuel when the ice belt started cracking right before our eyes, so we had to detach the hose and even cut it a little. There were icebergs there, it was really extreme, but things like this happen.
One time we had to wait half an hour at Progress Station. The ice belt started cracking. There was a huge iceberg behind us. It flipped over and stopped. Then it went in the other direction.
The ship closes in on the Progress Station. The critical factor now is the weather. All the food containers will be flown in, but will the ship have to pull back and wait for better flying weather?
We can reach the shore now, no problem. The problem is, we can't use aviation.
Visibility to port is decreasing and snow is inbound.
That's how it is in Antarctica. Everything is up to the weather. Whether we can work or not depends on the weather.
It turned out that the Progress Station frontal activity was at its peak. For 10 days, there was intense and heavy snowfall. Visibility was practically nothing, and the flight ceiling was 0. So we had to wait 10 days until it finally stopped snowing.
But this time it seems Antarctica is in a good mood and willing to demonstrate its more charming side.
I can see mountains.
After a lengthy trip, the long-awaited Antarctic shoreline appears. This land can only be reached during very short windows of time each year. Modern transport is of little help. The only reliable means of getting here is by sea.
Checking the line, approaching, coming soon.
Oh, thank God.
Arnold Budrecki was one of the pioneers of Russian Antarctica. There was nothing here except for ice and rock before the first generation of explorers, with plenty of experience in the North Pole, landed here on the southern continent.
If you look at the map of Antarctica, you'll see Soviet stations all across the continent, although not all of them are operational now. This is Antarctica. Kind of uncomfortable after the ship, right? As for me, I came to Antarctica after the Arctic. These people have never worked in the Arctic zone. There is a big difference. An isolated crew is a very serious thing. You never know how it will turn out with the newcomers.
Hello, everybody.
The most important event in the life of a station is staff rotation. 25 people will be spending this winter at the Progress station.
So, who's who?
Suganov.
Oh, Johnny. You've made it.
Kirill, doctor.
Okay, doctors. So are you guys in the know? You know your places? Take the doctors. Here's the hydrologist. Please, hydrologist. Hello, Mr. Akhmadulin.
Hello! Hello there. So, who knows our places?
I do. Oh, long time no see, Vadim.
Find him a place.
I'm Johnny. Pleased to meet you.
The doctor, right? Dmitri. Are you settling in? Hand over between the helicopter flights.
It's just like on horseback. I'm very careful when I have passengers. I mean, I drive crazy, but with passengers, always careful.
Arnold has come to check up on the Progress station after its reconstruction. It has recently been declared the capital of the Russian expedition.
Oh, look who's here, Arnold. Hello. Are you going to spend the winter here? Forever young. Our first joint expedition was number 19.
Yeah, I remember. This is good. We have to keep up the tradition of photographing each winter team. It's a great tradition. Is the common room this way?
No, this way. Here. It's here.
Goodness gracious. Oh, now you're talking. And do a lot of people work out here?
Yes.
Oh, that's great. Looks fantastic.
Look, no other station can boast of such conditions.
Ironing board, washing machine, and hot water. All the time?
Of course.
Look who it is! Arnold! Check this out. Here we keep the eggs, and there's no need to turn them.
I see, I see.
We put 5 to 6 boxes there and take them out at the end of the winter.
Are you happy? Compared to other stations, it's like paradise here. Paradise in Antarctica.
Hello!
Yeah, you're lucky here. It's like in a fairy tale.
It really is.
So, Johnny, have you settled in?
Not yet. I'm waiting for my partner. He's probably busy with science right now.
Science? Getting food, you mean?
I don't know.
Today, the whole station is focused on the same job: unloading food containers brought in by helicopter from the academic Fyodorov. Old and new teams are working together. It's easy to see at first glance who's already spent a year here.
The guys told me there was no point in shaving anymore. Usually, when you have to work, you shave. Here you're constantly working, and of course, there are no women, so why shave at all?
Women do not stay for the winter at Russian stations. Married couples were brought here several times as an experiment, but it didn't work out.
They sent an engineer here once. His wife was a cook. It was hard work. She had to carry heavy bags and lots of meat. Of course, she couldn't do it. So he had to drop what he was doing and help her. He couldn't do his job because of that, because he had to help her. To say nothing about the psychological aspect.
There are 2 cooks here. The weather may change, but lunch can never be postponed.
We've got solyanka soup here, goulash with buckwheat on the side, steak with onions and mushrooms, fried beef liver, and sausages. I always say, guys, why do you love sausages so much? Look what we've got. Steak à la française, liver, all these cutlets. What is it with sausages? So now what they do is they put all the good stuff on one plate and then come back with another plate and take 2 more sausages. It doesn't matter.
After consulting with the cook, the station head has bought food for the whole station. Instead of buying lemons, it's better to buy limes. They've learned that they stay fresh longer. When vegetables start to go off, the cook will cut and peel them, fry them in margarine and keep them in the freezer. Cottage cheese can be frozen too, but not sour cream. Its structure changes, which spoils the taste. Experience has taught them different ways to keep foods fresh for a year. Space needs to be left between bags to keep onions fresh, but it's impossible to say how long a cabbage might last.
One time I peeled everything away to the heart. Then I wrapped each one in paper, like they did in the old days. But that didn't help. It kept going off. That's why it stays in the string bags now. If it starts to go, we just peel it and eat it quickly.
Water for the station is drawn from glacial lakes. At the Progress station, they can automatically get water from a nearby lake. But the polar explorers don't like it. They're used to going to the remote lakes. Water there seems to taste better, but it's an illusion. All water here is the same after distillation. And because of the lack of minerals, polar explorers constantly suffer from dental problems.
Alexei, I'm scared.
The last one on the right. Do you want me to pull it out? It's better to fill it. Multivitamins sit on the table and the guys forget to take them. It's difficult to treat them and diagnose it in time. They hold out until the last moment when they can't stand it anymore.
I was afraid because they pull my teeth out all the time here. I've lost 4 in this room alone. It's my sacrifice to Antarctica.
We don't have holidays. And no weekends. We work 24 hours a day. There's one meteorologist, one atmospherologist, a seismologist, and a geophysicist. We still have plenty of work to do. No one will do it for you.
I mean, I like snowstorms. I mean, I can't live without them. When they start, I just start to walk, walk, and walk.
This polar explorer never gets the full 8 hours of sleep, because he has to submit weather data every 6 hours. And he has to go to the weather station every day, no matter what the conditions.
The Antarctic has a sort of utilitarian value. Let's take the weather data as an example. If you cover Antarctica with your palm, there will be no information from there anymore. All the models that we are used to will fail. Yeah, they just wouldn't work.
Just a few days remain for the summer team to hand over to their winter colleagues. Former bureaucrat Johnny Sukhanov spent a year studying magnetology. He really wanted to come to the Antarctic. Every station has its own magnetic room. There are no metallic objects in such rooms. The air temperature is kept stable at approximately 25 degrees Celsius. A computer constantly records changes, and time has to be accurate to the nanosecond. Clocks must be adjusted in a very special way.
For 3 days, we can only take notes. There's no time to make changes.
Alexei Simonov dreamed about Antarctica for several years.
For example, if we take a compass in Russia, it will show us north that way. But if you take it here, it will show north that way, even though it's that way. If we follow the compass as we used to do it in Russia, we won't end up in India as expected, but in Chile, South America.
As a student, he proposed his own geological theory. It was important to him to go to Antarctica to collect the data he needed.
I didn't find anything new for it, though. But here there are no influences, like TV or anything like that. You have to sit and think. Simply sitting and thinking.
The station's ionospherist keeps his instruments in a corner of the same room. His job is to monitor high-altitude conditions. All the data he collects has to be sent to an institute in St. Petersburg, and the equipment needs regular adjustment. In fact, every polar job has its own specifics. Such details are handed down to each new generation of polar explorer. These balloons can rise to 42 kilometers. They all carry sensors that relay information to a console at the station.
Our work is very important. We make aeronautical charts for aircraft, like how high helicopters can fly, for instance.
Similar balloons are released simultaneously all over the world, at midnight GMT. Russian polar explorers have long invented new ways to make the process more efficient, such as how to make them easier to release.
It is so short, but we can still send up the balloon like this. There's about 15 meters of rope here.
How to make it go higher.
We soak the balloon in a mixture of kerosene and benzene. We came up with it. It makes it fly higher. It can fly up to 30 kilometers. Without it, it will only go as high as 22. Other countries don't care so much about how high their balloons go.
And how to make it faster. They're inflated with hydrogen.
There's a rope down there. It's our reference point. I can check the top point of the balloon by using that. There we go.
Today, none of the scientists remember who actually came up with these ideas.
It comes from Arctic experience. It was our own atmospheric scientists who invented them. We had a competition whose balloon would go higher. Spending the winter here, some would call it hibernation, but it is in fact hard work. Spending the winter here is difficult. Working in Antarctica is difficult.
Maybe I'm used to this. This is my 6th winter here. It's been 9 years in Antarctica already. And why shouldn't I come here? Why, at the age of 59, should I not come here? I like the salary. I like the work conditions. We've ordered food, everything we want. Salted nuts, lobster, shrimp, ice cream, 4 different varieties of apples, pears. Why shouldn't I be here? At home, you wouldn't get a job like this for such a salary. At all.
I like it here. I feel at ease here. Free from household problems. Once you wake up, you're at work. No need to cook.
Around 30 people spend winter at the station, but only 5 or so are busy with science. Generally, most of the scientific work in winter boils down to monitoring investigations and observing various processes.
To be honest, science doesn't play the main role here. The main idea of our Antarctic activity is geopolitics. Science is just for show. Our main task is that we have to stake a claim in case of world repartition.
Station to lake.
Lake station.
Okay, I'm here. I'm going to skate now.
Congratulations. Good luck.
Thanks.
More than 2,000 kilometers from Progress is Novolazarevskaya. Artyom and Alexei arrived here by plane from Cape Town a month ago.
I even started to study English and set up a computer here. Alexei helped me. He installed a ton of different programs. Everything I've planned, I've done. As for the atmosphere, people and living conditions, everything is better than I thought. All the kinks are worked out. I was really impressed by that. The doors swing inward. All of them do. It means the wind won't wrench it out of your hand and fling it open. All the houses are placed in a row, with a little tilt from east to west. The wind here blows from east to west, that's why. All of the roads and main trails have rails and ropes, so you can hold on to them if it's windy.
All stations are laid out in roughly the same way. They have cabins, a mess hall, and a galley. The first expeditions arrived here by ship. As a result, marine slang is often used.
Once I called our rooms suites, and they burst out laughing. They said they were called cabins. Well, okay then. A cabin is a cabin.
The things I've seen in the movies and the things we have here now are completely different. We sit here now talking about today's watermelon, which was not so tasty, and then we retire to our European-style rooms. That's an obvious difference. The lives of those who built it all up from the very beginning and conquered nature here were completely different.
All the while the academic Fyodorov remains moored, winter has not begun. Seasonal workers are still at the station, and the members of the old team mix with the new.
Billiards. Shame on me. I'm gutted. I mean, the guys have been practicing all year. That's why they destroyed me.
They will get even with you for the cue.
I didn't take it out. I'm still in my right mind. It's hard to grasp what's happening, who's coming, who's going. Soon they'll leave. You'll leave too. And we'll get to know each other. There's no need to hurry now.
It's time to clear things up and answer the main question. Who am I? What changes await us? They'll probably happen.
Antarctica teaches, heals, and breaks you, but it trains you as well. I'm much more modest now. They ask me all the time, why do you go there, you idiot? You saw it once, okay, twice. There's nothing special about it. But no, as soon as you come here, they tell you, look at the iceberg. See how it's changed since last time.
You might think there could be nothing more monumental and timeless than this landscape. But it is only transitory. This view has changed 3 times in 3 days. Their last moments at Progress. The final helicopter is about to take off and then fly a farewell circle around the station. Then the ship will sound its horn 3 times to signal the start of winter. For the entire year, no one will be able to arrive, just as no one is able to leave.
I still remember that feeling. The helicopter made its last farewell circle and was off. It was the beginning of winter, and only 32 people were left. I felt kind of sad. That's the 3rd goodbye horn.
The academic Fyodorov moves on. The Novolazarevskaya station is the last port of call this season. It is 2,300 kilometers as the crow flies. These final efforts for the departing team are a chance to reflect upon everything that's happened during their tour of duty.
That's snow sliding off the dome. This is us crossing the crevice. This is a storm warning, number 2. It means going out is forbidden.
We lack a lot of things here. No women, no trees, no traffic lights, no traffic police, no one to argue with. At home, you don't even notice such things.
I'm not sure about the others, but I feel lucky. Even if I never come here again, I'll have enough impressions for the rest of my life just because I was here.
I mean, he starts in the middle of winter, never again. And then you come, and here he is, even before you.
Partly because they get used to living in a bubble, where there are no problems. Maybe family rows fade from memory.
They have problems of their own. My wife tells me, there's a leak, and I answer, why do you even tell me that? How can I help you from here? Ask your son-in-law, let him deal with it. They have problems of their own. Once we return home, we'll be buried in problems. We might even forget Antarctica.
They will go back and dive into life at home. I'm telling you, they will be back. They will return. They will feel the difference between living here and living there. Something draws them back. They can't help it. What do you think? If I'm here? My wife was barely aware of my expeditions in the last few years. We lived happily. It's a pity she died early. I was in Antarctica. I was not with her. I headed the expedition. It's a huge responsibility. How could I leave it? So much had to be done. It was so different back then. We would go to New Zealand and Australia. So I said, the children would do everything necessary. They would honor her memory. And I brought a rock from Antarctica that became her headstone.
The Novolazarevskaya station's situation is going to be tough. That's what I think.
Recently, it's taken a long time to get supplies there. We haven't been able to get to it for 2 years.
The solid sheets that form the inshore ice belt are known as fast ice. They can be up to 2 or 3 meters thick in places. To break through, the Fyodorov has to reverse and then ram it hard, using the full weight of its steel hull.
A few years ago, that happened here. There were about 4 solid miles of fast ice all the way to the shore. We were breaking it down for 5 days. I'm hoping for some help from Mother Nature. A massive cyclone is due to come through. That will generate waves big enough to break the ice. We can't cut through so much fast ice by ourselves. It's 3 years old now, and last year we couldn't get through when it was just 2. It was more than 3 meters deep then, with about a meter of snow on top of that.
They had no choice but to unload the cargo onto the ice, where the Indian Arctic mission usually moors. It's a long way from the Russian station. There was about a year's supply of fuel, and at that moment, Antarctica bared her teeth again. A huge chunk of fast ice broke off, and almost the whole year's fuel supply for a station was lost to the ocean.
Only 4 out of 10 fuel tanks were left. They had to conserve fuel for the whole winter after that.
Now Antarctica has yet another surprise up its sleeve. The shore ice that tested and tried the ship's endurance as well as the crew's patience for 2 full years has gone by itself.
40 meters to the barrier.
The Fyodorov heads straight for the barrier. The Novolazarevskaya station's fuel storage is just a few meters above the shore. The location was chosen as it's the most convenient place to unload.
25 meters to the barrier.
All crew members, including the scientists, have a part to play in the mooring procedure.
2 meters to the barrier.
Keeping such a large ship stable on the glacier is no easy task. They must drill into the ice to a depth of around 1 meter. Using an ordinary ladle, loose ice is manually baled out. An empty gas cylinder comes into play, as it offers the best fit. Timber dries out and breaks too quickly. Novolazarevskaya is a long way, about 100 kilometers from the shore. For the next few days, helicopters will transport containers to the station. The crew unloads fuel for the aircraft that will head into Antarctica this summer. They also drop off fuel for heating during the endless polar winter. These barrels will be picked up by the station's vehicles. During winter, they'll come here dozens of times, when there'll be no need to hurry. For now, though, everything has to be done quickly. In Antarctica, nothing can be put off until tomorrow. It's already late autumn, and the weather can change at any moment. So people work while they can, even for 24 hours a day. The Novolazarevskaya station calls all hands on deck as well. These last days before the beginning are always the busiest, especially for those spending their first winter here. You have to be sure everything is ready for winter, and in the breaks between unloading containers, technical details and specifications have to be discussed with your predecessor one last time.
You have to change the filters here because of the bright moon. So be easy, take your time. Things have to be arranged in a proper way. We have a new group of specialists here now. All of them are young. How are they going to get along with each other? I don't know. During expedition number 53, those guys didn't get on well.
You are 20, right? Yeah, he's younger than me. I'm the youngest mechanic here.
I'm the youngest one here.
I'm 23.
He's only 2 months older than me.
Only one container remains. There's a brief pause as everyone waits for the last helicopter.
There's this feeling that something will go wrong and there's nothing you can do about it. You'll just have to live with it the whole year, no matter what it is. Everything seems okay now, but you worry it will go wrong. That's what I felt, but gradually it disappeared. In my heart, I already feel good here. So the only thing is to get along with the new guys. And that will be that. It'll take a month to get acquainted with them and get used to them. Only then will I consider it the beginning of winter.
Tomorrow, the old team will finally leave, and the academic Fyodorov will steer north, towards home. Tomorrow, winter begins for all of Russian Antarctica.
What an unsolved mystery for me. Oh, it's an interesting question. What is it that draws me here so much? What is it here that's so attractive? You understand?
Finally, the academic Fyodorov heads north. The Antarctic winter has begun.